Thank you, Juan and Diana. We'll now have our last presentation for this section, and we have from Expert System Marco Baldaccini and Luca Scaramella, and from Argedor A.Tutumlu. Perfect. Talking to us about the integration of the users, the tools, and the processes for this platform. Thank you. If it's working. No, it's working.
Yeah.
We have to return it.
Yes. This is working, yes. Hello, I will present you the development of a platform integration tool. And my presentation is divided in three parts. I'm Marco Baldaccini, and I present you I'm a project manager from Expert System, and I give you an overview of the integration process. The second part is from Luca Scaramella, as he is a technical leader, and he will present the platform architecture. And the third part is for Ali Khan. Here. He's a web expert from Argedor, and he will present you the graphical user interface. Our goal in this project is to provide a way to manage the integration of different tools. And I show you some questions. And how does OptEEmAL interact with the user? OptEEmAL interact with the web application that provide user registration, data entry, and data exportation. Also interact with email. In the afternoon we will show you that email a user to inform a partner and to give a request authorization of some task. Also, how does OptEEmAL manage data in consistent manner? In this platform there are a lot of information from different sources in different format, and there are different software to manage. Also, data must be accessible from all modules, and data must be stored in repository that have to be accessed from different modules also. And they must grant an easy way to access data. At the beginning of the project, a lot of work has been done with the partner to define the best solution for this. And now we have defined different repository to manage different data and the best way to access information. The third part, how does OptEEmAL solve the integration of different calculation tools? We have created different repository, different modules, we have to manage different software languages with different requirements. The solution we have adopted is a communication logical layer. We have chosen a framework that is able to share data in a consistent and reliable manner. And this will be explained to you by Luca in the next presentation. The main goal for this is to manage the integration between modules. This framework provides services to store and manage data, as you can read, and implement a strong data quality assessment and control plan to ensure consistency and reliability in communication. There are three important components to manage interact with the user. There are the input data, the manager of data, and the export of data. The most important is the data exportation, because the stakeholders are able to visualize and export the data resulting from the design process, because they must manage district information modeling, and she needed the building retrofitting, and also she had to receive reports on economic analysis, energy performance analysis, and environment analysis, such analysis, and so on. I think now that I can pass the presentation to Luca, that will show you the architecture of the platform. This is the most interesting part. Okay.
Well, as you can understand from the introduction of Marco, the main difficulty on this task was to coordinate everybody, because everyone working on each module had different knowledge, and maybe they knew very well only their part. So the main goal of the platform was to organize and put together all the information created by all these very skilled people, but very skilled only on one field, okay, each one. So putting all together was the main request for the platform. So we had to design an architecture which could be easily used by each of these modules. This module, as we will see after in another image, are also dislocated in physically different sites around the platform. So we need someone who could, like a middleware, which could easily be connected with all these modules. So after some studies, we decided that this middleware could be managed by a special component. Is called the Enterprise Service Bus, which is the main actor to connect all these modules. Of course, all these modules have to be synchronized by DSB, but they should have a common way of communication between them. And at this point, we decided to use web services and interface, which are exposing through interfaces all the functionalities all the models does. all the model does. So all these set of functionality are managed by a service-oriented architecture. So this means that these objects are all along the platform, are working in separate with separate logic, and they are inserted into the platform as a service called by the platform middleware tool. So at the end, all these modules, they had also to be connected with the graphical user interface, which was the most external part, the part also which the user will should understand and should use much more than the other, which are behind the platform. So also the graphical user interface needed something to have and to request the data inserted or requested by the user. So this was the main logic behind the platform architecture. Starting from the enterprise service bus, which I told you is the middleware in the middle of all the platform. Well, the ESB is an instrument used to integrate different environments, and so with the scope of which sits in the middle of all the modules or application, serves as a mediator between modules which are defined and in different languages and with different technologies, and also must take care of all the data, all the data transformation process of in the history of the environment. So I think this is the, oh my God, this is a problem. We have I think Marco didn't send you the updated version of the, okay, I will start from here. Well, this is the image of which gives the idea of the complexity of the platform. In the last 2 hours, we heard people talking about each of these components, okay, and also these, but all these components at the end have to be organized and put together in order to create all the environment. So these images shows also where all these modules are located. For example, this group, if you read here, is Tecnalia, means these are physically deployed on a Tecnalia server, maybe in Spain, I guess in Spain. Here is Expert System, which is in Italy, and is where physically we have these modules deployed. Here, I think we are in Spain and in Greece. So let's try to understand. It's really an hard job to take together all these environments. Of course, sometimes this environment cannot directly talk because, of course, of security, and also because normally they don't have to directly discuss between. So Also, this is an important rule done by the enterprise service bus. So, okay, how we organized logically the information. The information are structured as repositories, which are the physical place where the information is stored. Then we have connectors like these, which are behind the platform and the physical place where they are stored. So when we hear about this connector is a component which expose access to these these places. And then we have the layers is a logical entity which we should manage all this connection. So in this case, I have we have the repositories. We have a layer here, which is the external part, which is done by web services, and then we have we have all the modules behind, which is other web services, which expose operation done to the repositories. So this is how we manage things. So we have, I say, repository, connector, and okay, modules, of course, and layers. And then how data are collected. Okay, all this information are collected in every repository, but unfortunately, each repository is contains only one type of information. They can be different kind of object. We have databases. We have server which stores XML, which like the ECM repository, and we have a repository which stores models, in the case of BEAM and CTZML repositories. So we will have also other information gathered from the web or from other sources, like the one inside the contextual repository. So all this data is collected during various parts of the project and stored in the proper repository. Each of these repository will be reachable by a layer, so by an interface, which will give functionality to everyone who needs this information through an API which is is giving the information. So everything we said is managed by, is organized by the ESB. The ESB is a series of, is organized with a series of queue. Each queue is doing one information. In this queue, we will have listener and publishers, okay? Listeners is the people who will listen to the queue and will wait. Let me check. Okay. This is a very old version. Listening for an information, and the publisher will be the one putting the information into the queue. So what's happening? Each module connected to the platform will define a listener, which is something, a service, which will be listening to a specific queue. And when a message will reach this queue, automatically the platform will call the module interested on this queue, which means to the information, to a specific information, will start doing something, and at the end, the result will be published in another queue, where there will be another listener, which will be will receive the information and will do something else. This is very important in this case because in OptEEmAL we have very long elaboration times. Okay, modules can take 1 hour, 2 hours to be elaborated. It's impossible to think that the user stays 2 hours on the graphical interface waiting for a result. So everything works in the background. So the user every time can start the project, can fill the questionnaire, can put the values, then he will launch like a baseline calculation, then the user can do something else, and maybe 2 hours after, he can check he can open the browser again, and he will see if the operation is ended or not. This is very important, and because the elaboration, meantime, is running on the server and is managed on the background. This is one of the most challenging things in the project, but I think with this kind of architecture, we solve the issue. Now, I think is the time for Argedor, for Alican, to explain how the GUI is working and how the user will feel what is happening inside all this mess of platform we try to describe.
Okay, thank you, Luca. Hi everyone, I am Alican from Argedor site. Today I am gonna talk about the graphical user interface. As you see, there are several steps here. User needs to log in to reach this screen, and there are several types of user, like owner, admin, constructor, and designers, and so on. They have to log in to create or select a project. After selecting a project, this screen comes up. In this screen, users can add a person to the projects, and the right side, as you see, there is a chat. Users communicate with each other with the help of this chat tabs, and users can see all logs about the system with using activity tab, and they can filter the logs according to dates by selecting the dates. The other screen step is about data upload. Users can upload the HTML file first, and then they can upload IFC files related with the HTML. And downside of the page, they can create matching by selecting IFC and HTML. The other part is about baseline energy systems. users can answer the questions related with the IFC files. They can select multiple files, more than one, and then they can answer the questions related with the selected files. In these steps, there is an algorithm here to calculate information about the files like climate data, average yearly income, and etc. So to prevent spend time for users, we add a button here, query button. After clicking the query button, users can see the information about the files listed here. And if you renew the data about that files, they can click requery button. And they, after editing some inputs, they need to save all of them. The other part is ECM part. In this year, still users answer the questions about the buildings that they select. And they can see some strategies about the ECM part, like U limit, U value, type, and etc. And they, in the next step, they can see the view baseline performance. They can see all energy DPIs listed here. And they can also edit the target and boundaries with the help of this part. Here is prioritization criteria. They can fill the inputs by using predefined writing sham, as you see, or use manual prioritization criteria. After fill the all inputs, they can see the all results listed. Then the next step is problem summary. They can see all problems here, and if any warning comes up with the system, they are listed here. To correct all of them, users can change previous answered questions, as I said, to correct all of the warnings. And the last part is about selecting optimal scenario. In this part, users select the scenarios, and after selected the scenarios, the results, report results are listed the last part, and they can export all results to review. That's all, I think. Thank you for your attention. Thanks a lot.
Thank you to all the partners for presenting all these parts of the platform, of the solution. We will, before going to lunch, have an open floor for questions, if there are any. Yes. I'll try to make this work. Hello.
Thank you. My name is Javier Martinez from Veolia. At the very beginning of the project, I have several questions that was answering during this morning. So congratulations for the project and the great job. Excuse me. But I have three final questions for the whole consortium. I don't know who is the first one. The first part is, I don't know, in your opinion, if the industry, the professionals that are working in the energy efficiency, are prepared to introduce all of the data that the platform needs. I mean, the BIM model and the HIS model and so on. This is the first question. The second one is, what is the flexibility of the platform with the new ideas about the positive buildings? I mean, the building is not a consumer or producer, could be the both phases. I don't know if the platform consider this in the near future. Probably now, no, but in the future it could be. And the third part is the most important question, is when we can use the platform, because we are very happy with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe starting with the last one, I hope in 2 years. So yeah, there are still some developments to be carried out, but I hope we can cover all these final developments and validations to have a commercial solution in 1-2 years. Regarding the readiness of the sector in order to provide all the input data. Well, the OptEEmAL tool is somehow is very strict with the requirements in terms of data that is needed in order to perform all this process. This is something that we acknowledged since the beginning, and this is why we have prepared all these different guidelines and these different instructions on how to prepare the information to be uploaded. But I think the tool is perfectly, or can perfectly be integrated within the current trends that we are having in the construction sector. For example, these new developments regarding building information modeling, or the use of this kind of solutions that, in one way or another, at the end will be in the market. So I think that in this sense we are somehow a bit advanced, and maybe the sector is not ready now in order to prepare all this information, and it's something we know that is time consuming, but I guess in some years it should be ready in order to use this kind of tools, because all this information should be ready and should be available. In this sense, we need also somehow the support of the administrations in order to force to use these new tools and these new standards to improve the sector. And then the other question was about, positive, yeah. Actually, the tool is somehow flexible in terms of the criteria and requirements in order to design these energy retrofitting projects at district level. So in this sense, it depends on the criteria or the objectives that the users set at the beginning, the way in which the tool is optimizing and is generating the different scenarios. So in this sense, for example, we are having cases in which some of the buildings are positive because they are generating more energy than they are consuming, and they are sharing this energy with the other buildings that are in the district. So the platform should be ready in order to be adapted to all this, because of the flexibility we have in terms of technologies, in terms of the way in which the scenarios are generated and optimized, and so on and so forth. For this, it's quite important what Juan has mentioned about the flexibility of the energy conservation measures catalog. We wanted to develop a catalog that can represent the reality of the market, and that is able to include new technologies, new solutions coming from the technology developers. So in this sense, the OptEEmAL platform should be ready to be adapted to this concept of positive energy buildings or districts. But yeah, it's a matter of testing with new cases. Thank you for your questions.
No? Okay, then I guess we can go for lunch. We will. If you have any valuable, any bags or anything that you want to leave here, we can put it in the back room and lock this one, because we will go for lunch to the building that is kind of beneath us.
The advertisement.
Yeah.
Well, just one thing. We are going to finish today in the afternoon with a Kahoot, which is a kind of tool we're going to use to gather your feedback about what we have done today, okay? So what I'm asking you is that if you can, in any moment during the lunch or after, before we finish the day, you can go and try to download to your mobiles this Kahoot app. Okay, so we can play at the end. That's it. The end of the announcement.
Yes, thank you. And now, across from us is the entrance of the other entrance of the museum, and left of that there is going to be a path down to the river, and The building is just right besides and beneath us. So I'm sure we can all walk together. If you have any valuables, please come to me and I'll make sure they'll be locked up. Yes? Thank you.